My name at birth was Jacque, Southern Polk now, otherwise known as Peaches. Anchor Hospital, St. Paul, Minnesota, 1935. I left St. Paul May 9th, 1954. I got married May 8th, and we left on our honeymoon on the 9th. My husband was an officer in the Air Force. We went to his home first, Lexington, Mississippi. Big mistake. You don't take a northern girl down south in 1954. And then we went to Cape Cod, Massachusetts, which is Cape Cod, oldest Air Force base. I lived on two places, 716 and 888. We rented at 716, which I was too young to know that, but now, of course, I do. It's gone. It's on the east side, but my last home, 888, is still there. Hurts my heart, because they haven't taken care of it. At noon today, I have young family that I did not know existed. A cousin, my first cousin, lived in Minneapolis, and my grandparents lived in Minneapolis. And so she and I were buddies when I was young. Whenever I went over there to visit, I've never been a grouper. I'm not a joiner and stuff. I go from place to place with groups, different groups of people. I went to her memorial. Very out of place for me now. I don't do memorials, I don't do births, I don't do weddings. But I went for this, for her husband, because he called me, and I said, okay, I'll come, Bill. So he said, do you want to say something on the mic? And I said, okay. I got up there and I said, I'm Peaches, Bev's cousin. And I heard in the audience people go, well, I'd had no idea she had told everybody under the sun about us growing up. And there was family. I had no idea I had all this family. Well, we were going to have a big get-together today, but majority of them couldn't come, which turns out to be great, because there's only going to be about 5 or 6 of us, and I can squish them into my apartment. Because Rayanne says, my young cousin, God love her, sweetest little thing. You must realize I'm 81 years old, so you all are children to me. Said, oh, that's great, because you're going to be bombarded with questions. They know nothing about the maternal side and the German and the Indians, which we are. My grandparents were German. So when they came here, it wasn't good to be German. And as all Europeans, they spoke more than one language. So my first language was French. And I thought we were French for years. And one day I'm sitting down with another cousin, and we got into a conversation, and she says, we're not French. What do you mean we're not French? She says, we're German. I'm like, what? And I knew about the Indian because our folks first, when they came over, were down in Keokuk, Iowa. And that's where the Sioux have, well, now it's a reservation, but that's where they were most of the time. And I knew a woman who had been born and raised there and went to Los Angeles, where I came back from 11 years ago. knew our history. And I let her die before I got all the history. My favorite memory. It's a weird one. The streetcar. If I wasn't ready for school, he would stop in front of my house and pull the cord. And every day, he'd come, rain, snow, sleet, whatever, for me to go to school. I went to St. Agnes. So I was the first person of color to go there and the first person to graduate from there. 1953. What was that like? I ignored it. There were several guys. I like guys. I pick up guys. I don't know what it is about me that says men, but I love men and they love me, and I got along with the guys. The girls, forget it. I have one friend, Rita, to this day, from there. Didn't like the nuns. They didn't like me, because I ask questions. And we get in religion classes. Are you baby Catholic? Which I was at that time. I asked questions. We were told that there were 3 heads in one with God. How do you get 3 heads? I'm in the 3rd grade now. How do you get 3 heads in one? None said you take it on faith. Where do you get faith? Well, I kept on and kept on. That was the 3rd grade. By the 5th grade, I'd been kicked out of the class religiously. Forget her. Get her out of religion classes. But they didn't know. They weren't hurting my feelings. I was a reader. And I was to go to the library or study hall. That was fine. Great. I can read. I've always got a book with me everywhere I go. The Sterling Club, my parents gave me a party. I would think I was 14. I said 16. And a girlfriend of mine had the clippings that her sister, who was my buddy, had, and I was 14. I was very surprised. At the Sterling, that was a big deal. That was a big deal back then. The Sterling Club was the place. Our parents had no places to go for entertainment. They had 2 or 3 clubs, but everything was done in the home. They would go from home to home. And that I was too young to know too much or to care. I was too busy. Our partying, I always said as a kid, I guess I heard it from somebody, St. Paul is for families. You come here, you raise your kids, and you party in Minneapolis. Honey, that was back then. That's the same thing today. Yep, we went to North Minneapolis. It has not changed. We all went to certain churches. I went to St. Philip's. If you've heard about the Episcopalian homes, well, that was an Episcopalian home. That's part of the Episcopalian homes. That's where I live, on Dale and University. What is so ironic, I'm on the side of University that we weren't allowed to come over to. We could come over because I had to come over to go to school. But as a whole, it was like a no-no, an unsaid no-no. And you better not want any of the guys be caught driving, because it's called DWB, driving while black. Oh yes, it was a village. Everything, even though I came from Kent and Thomas, from school at St. Agnes. If I did anything wrong, my mother knew about it by the time I got home. And I might have gotten a whipping on the way home a couple times. There was one lady in here who you videoed, I think, Margaret Ann Lovejoy. Her parents, her mother, trained, potty trained my two oldest children, because I came back here to have them, because my husband was in Greenland, not Iceland, not Labrador. Anyway, it was somewhere up there, and the dependents couldn't go. So I came back home, and I went back to try to get some of my credits in college at the U. So, but she potty trained both of my oldest children, my boys. Wonderful, wonderful person, Aunt Gay. We were all family. There was no one you called by their first name. Oh no, no, that's a real no. You are aunt, uncle, Mr., Mrs. And you could tell how close they were by what you called them. So it was home. It was a real home. Honey, it's totally changed. Some people my age are still angry because we were promised. I was gone. I come back a couple times for visits because I had a cousin here that was still here, and I had several friends. And the air is totally different. And like I say, they're angry. Several of them never were paid for their homes. They came and took their home. One man was still in it. He totally refused. And like I said, we've been promised. None of it's come about. None of it's come about. And it won't.